And he has been working tirelessly on a CIA lawsuit to get information declassified, and he's been very successful in that. And he just got news yesterday that he's going to tell right now, and it's exciting news, we hope. And here he is, Roger Hall.
Can you hear me like that? Okay. I busted my glasses this morning, but fortunately, with my reading glasses, these are just glasses, but fortunately Mike Benge is going to read. You're still going to read it right now? And sometimes people change their mind. It's a 7-page report from the court. Judge Lambert, who made this ruling Friday. No, I can't see it anymore.
You might want him to hold that mic to the folks out cyberspace.
But the case has been in, this is the second FOIA case against the CIA, and it's been in court for 15, see, I told you, you don't want me to hold it. It's been in court for 15 years. And in the beginning, Judge Lambert said that this was not going to be a long, drawn-out case, but something happened. And I'm going to let Mike read, if you're ready, and then we'll take some questions. But it's rather complex, and it's 7 pages, and unfortunately, the hotel charges $1 a page. So anybody that wants a copy of this can pay Janelle $7 and we'll get copies made. Or you can, you can get my card and you can email me and I'll send you an electronic copy.
Thank you. Okay. Mike?
And then we'll take questions. You need this?
Since I'm helping Roger out here, and he wants me to read the 7-page conclusion of the court, I want to bear with me for a minute as I morph into my Roger Hall mode.
Taking his shirt off.
Anybody have any music they can play with you?
Not me.
You would have come to court with me.
All right, now. I'm going to.
Are you going to sit?
Yes, I am.
Okay, because you need the mic.
Yeah, I'm going to end up sitting down because I suffer as I grow older more and more from an old wound I received. It was not as a POW from the Vietnam War, but it was a Brahma bull when I was rodeoing in my college days, and it comes back conveniently to haunt me. And as I age a little more, it gets a little more dicey. So I'm going to end up sitting down, and bear with me. Roger said you've got 7 pages to read.
That's all double spaced.
And, okay, it's double spaced, sorry about that, right? So anyway, if I can get enough light on this so I can read it, and I can't take off my glasses because the fluorescent lights drive me nuts. But anyway, how has this freedom of information, this is a memorandum and orders from the judge. I'll let him explain the rest of this, but it says, how has the Freedom of Information Act fight lasted? How has this Freedom of Information Act fight lasted for 15 years? The court partially blames the plaintiffs who delayed any progress for the last at least for 680 days by moving for 57 deadline extensions. And then it has the numbers of all these extensions. Yet the court also blames the government and the Central Intelligence Agency had done it as it promised. The litigation would have ended 2 years ago. In August 2017, during the fourth round of summary judgment briefing, the court granted almost all of the government's summary judgment motion. The accompanying opinion charted my eyes have to adjust once in a while. Charted 4 simple steps from the government to resolve this case in its favor. Number 1, provide more specifically on document destruction protocols. The government acknowledges 569 non-operational physical file folders contain records potentially responsive to plaintiff's FOIA request, and then it says this numbered document, and claimed that 114 of the folders had been properly destroyed in accordance with the CIA's record control schedule. Boy, talk about a cover-up. So to substantiate the government's inability to recover the records contained in these folders, the court directed the CIA to provide further specificity as to the regulations and scheduled appointments for its decision. Confirm or deny the existence of additional non-operational records allegedly shows to Congress armed with, I'm sorry, I'm having problems with the light here. Wait a minute, I'm trying to find out where I can pick up here.
Do you want somebody else to read or are you okay?
What?
Do you want somebody else to read or are you okay reading?
Well, if somebody else wants to read it and can read it faster than I can, then,
Want to come up? Sure.
yeah.
Just sit
If you
there.
want. Yeah.
He'll just sit there and he'll come here. How's that?
I got it right down to there.
Starting with item 2, confirm or deny the existence of additional non-operational records allegedly shown to Congress. Armed with evidence suggesting the CIA shared additional relevant records with members of Congress, that is, records beyond those of the 569 folders, the plaintiffs claimed that the government's research was inadequate since it did not turn up these additional records. A Of course, in reviewing the adequacy of the government search, the court cannot guarantee the government will produce all relevant material. No search of this size, dating back multiple decades, will be free from error. This court must only ratify that the government made good faith effort to conduct a search for the requested records, using methods which can reasonably be expected to produce all non-operational records. And the court need not make a judgment if the alleged additional records do not actually exist or if they remain operational. So, hoping to nip the plaintiff's questions in the bud, the court asked the government to confirm or deny the existence of more records. If confirmed, the court further asked that the government to declare whether the records remain operational. If they remain operational, the court also asked the government to explain why. Item 3. Disclose previously redacted names of all non-CIA employees. Ignoring the court's order from the third round of the summary judgment briefing, the government reprised its already rejected attempt to redact the names of non-CIA employees under FOIA's protection for personal and medical files and similar files, the disclosure of which would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. But the court reaffirmed its prior decision requiring the government to disclose these names. 4. Provide no later than dates for undated, fully withheld records. In seeking to withhold documents under FOIA's exemption for the national security information, the government failed to provide creation dates for 3 documents. CECF number 248-2. But since the exemption partly turns on the age of the documents, the court held that the CIA must discern and disclose the latest date on which these documents can reasonably be considered to have been created. At a status conference 3 weeks later, the government noted that it found the relevant destruction schedules would be able to provide them with to the court within a matter of weeks. It was also disclosed that it was consulting with civil appellate about appealing the court's order to disclose the non-CIA employee names. It further affirmed that it found dates for the undated classified documents and was willing to provide them orally in a supplemental filing. And it asked the court for a bit of additional guidance on how to disclaim any additional records out there, including communications with Congress. In response, the court explained, I assume the CIA may have provided things other than from the operational files to congressmen, but the court has no way of knowing, and the CIA has not provided the court with any information about whether other things were also transmitted to Congress. The record does not reflect that things other than operational details were given to Congress or weren't given to Congress. And I can't say that everything given to Congress was from operational files. So I don't have any way to uphold that you gave operational file materials to them that would be exempt. You only gave them operational files and didn't give them anything else that make the record for the court. The court reminded the government to explain why the files would still be deemed operational 60 years after the fact. Then the government asked the follow-up. So as we understand it, the court would like clarification regarding non-ops files materials that were provided to Congress. And the court confirmed, right, if there were any. I don't have a declaration saying that there were none. And the court held another status conference a month later. The government noted the non-CIA employee name disclosure was still being considered by civil appellate. The government backpedaled on the no later than dates, though the government vowed this latest status conference to immediately provide these dates. It never followed through. And now only it could provide them quite quickly. And now said it only could provide them quite quickly. It also walked back its promise to the relevant destruction file schedules. Now it claimed the schedules are classified, necessitating a motion to file for the courts in camera review. But helpfully, government counsel represented the only possibility for additional records to be shown to Congress but not sent to plaintiffs or described in the Vaughan Index would be if the records were operational. And the government promised to provide this explanation in a declaration by November 15, 2017. The plaintiffs promised their responses by January 15, 2018, and the court ordered the government to reply by February 15, 2018. But the government never moved to file the destruction protocols ex parte, nor did the government file a declaration adopting what counsel said at the hearing. Instead, the court got this fifth round of summary judgment briefing well past the proposed schedule. The government's motion missed the original deadline by 2 weeks. Plaintiffs' cross-motions oppositions missed the original deadline by over a year. It took the plaintiffs' counsels 57 weeks to respond. The replies missed the original deadline by 14 months. And worse, the government's motion ignores almost everything the court said in its August 2017 opinion, and almost everything the government itself said at the 2 status conferences. In the motion, lone bright spot, the government finally provides no later than dates for the 3 undated denied in full documents. But for the rest of the motion, the court feels doomed to relive Groundhog Day. Take the court's request for greater specificity on the destruction protocols. Here's what the government said back in 2016. The agency queried an electronic database which contains an automated inventory of the records retired to the agency. These broad searches yielded approximately 16,500 hits. Personnel reviewed these search results for any false hits and narrowed the response to 569 hard copy folders associated with 204 individuals. It was later determined that 114 of these folders had been properly destroyed in accordance with the CIA's records control schedule. And here's all the agency adds in 2017, promising that under retention rules coordinated in conjunction with the National Archives and formally approved by the Archivists of the United States, the 114 records were only required to be kept for a designated period of time, from 1 to 10 years, depending on the file type. Since they were largely administrative in nature and contained documents related to routine administrative support, working papers, films of no intelligence value, and the correspondence and reference documents associated with certain FOIA privacy and declassification files. That's it. No citation to formal document retention policy. No discussion about when CIA destroyed the documents. Nothing that meaningfully helps the court substantiate the government's inability to recover the 114 folders. The government's attempt to confirm or deny the existence of additional non-operational records shared with Congress falls further flat. The government musters just 2 pages of general background, required decennial review. But that adds nothing. The court keeps re-asking the same questions. Were there any other records beyond those contained in the 569 folders? If yes, were they operational? And if so, why? Do they contain detailed information about still viable intelligence sources, a method of intelligence gathering, something else? And the government's motion does not even acknowledge the court's prior order to disclose the names of non-CIA employees, let alone mention any plans to appeal or any justification for flouting this court's order in the meantime. But ignoring prior judicial opinions and orders is never an advisable litigation strategy, especially for the federal government. Ordinarily, when litigants fail to acknowledge or respond to a dispositive motion, the courts treat the motion as conceded. When the litigants rehash already rejected documents, courts reject them again on the principle of waiver and re judicata. So too here, the government has failed to meaningfully acknowledge or respond to either the court's August 2017 opinion and order or to the plaintiff's renewed cross motion. Accordingly, the court gives the government 20 days to explain why it has not conceded or waived plaintiff's cross motion summary for summary judgment, and if possible, to supplement its original motion in accordance with this order. Plaintiffs have 10 days to respond to any submission. These deadlines shall not be further extended. Unless the government shows good cause, the court will grant the plaintiff's motions and deny the government's motion. It is so ordered May 23rd, 2019, Royce C. Lambert, United States District Judge.
Thank you, you did that much better than I.
You both did a good job. And I just say that this is where you folks get a chance to share the pain. But you didn't have to read it, they took care of it for you. But you can get a copy from either Janella or I'll give you a card and you can just email me and I'll send you an electronic copy. But there's more to come. This is the same judge that is handling Mark Sauter's case. And this judge happens to have already retired, and he's staying, even though he's retired, he can now stay and pick and choose the cases he doesn't want. So fortunately, he has decided to take 2 POW cases. But we still don't know what he's going to do, because unreported in this particular 7 pages is that he had originally stated that he would see certain documents in camera, meaning